There have been a lot of protagonists in the Assassin's Creed series, and I've ranked them multiple times based on their narrative quality within their respective games. However, today I'm doing something different. Instead of taking a critical view, we're going to explore this universe from a diegetic perspective, meaning that we're going to explore which of these characters are best in their roles as assassins. This ranking has nothing to do with these protagonists' characters, but is based on their respective skills, their strength, their wit, and their overall ability. Without wasting any time with a long convoluted intro, let's simply try and see which assassin is the best. Coming in last place, we have Jacob Frye, because he is, very simply, a complete idiot. Like an actual 75 IQ brainlet. Although yes, he's decently well built, he's severely lacking in traditional assassin skills, especially in the stealth department. Being trained by one of the weakest sects of the Brotherhood, Jacob time and time again caused catastrophes due to his inability to properly investigate his targets. I mean, he almost collapsed the world's economy at one point. We also see him derail a train, destroy the transport industry in London, and I'm pretty sure at one point destroy its medicine supply to the orphan population. Not exactly hiding in plain sight or protecting innocents. Now, in his defense, Jacob is a bisexual king, and he also has a very stylish top hat, but this is counteracted by the fact that none of his jokes are funny, and he's terrible at fulfilling basically every role an assassin has. Although fantastic in his role as the leader of a razor gang, his aura as an assassin is severely lacking, and because someone has to be last place, he gets that spot. Now this kind of breaks my heart, as I consider Arno to be one of the more underrated protagonists in the series. However, if we look at him from the perspective of his abilities as an assassin, he's perhaps the most average protagonist we have. Although his journey to the Brotherhood is certainly unique, he is kind of just a normal assassin, with fundamental training and the skills that come along with that. However, Arno doesn't particularly stand out in any exceptional way. He has a relatively normal build, he isn't shown to be magnificent with a sword, he's not directly related to the Etso, and he's pretty terrible at preventing any bad event from ever happening. Arno has a severe lack of Sigma grainset, as he time and time again allows his busty ginger stepsister to cloud his vision, even though she fucking dies before he can ever actually hit. I mean, as far as I know, the canonical incest in AC Unity only goes as far as making out, which is still weird, but AC fans are all severe porn addicts anyway, so it makes sense. On a genuine note, Arno is the most normal of all of our protagonist assassins, which from a character perspective actually makes him very interesting. However, it doesn't make him, good at his job. The main reason he comes in above Jacob is because at his peak he did wield the Sword of Eden, however that's basically just a shotgun, so I'm not putting too much stock into it. Following Arno is Eevee Frye, who although comes from the same training as her brother, has a significantly more mindful approach to her assassin activities. Although of course Eevee stands at a disadvantage in most combat encounters due to her smaller size and limited strength, she makes up for it with an incredible set of stealth abilities, including, at least in the game's representation, the ability to turn invisible. Although of course this isn't a canonical ability, it is representative of her skill to completely blend into the world around her, and it would be tough to avoid a silent strike from this lethal assassin. Following Eevee we have Edward, who is a fucking pirate. However, similarly to Jacob and Eevee, Edward's training as an assassin was limited, as he joined the Brotherhood late and had very little formal training. But like I said, prior to joining the Brotherhood, Edward was a privateer turned pirate, meaning he had military training that led him to become a master swordsman, which he coupled with the ability to dual wield swords, making him an incredibly tough combat opponent, beating the governor's strongest men in his time in the West Indies. That being said, Edward wasn't able to carry this into his old age, as he was bested by only 2 men in his London manor, dying in a combat encounter that in his prime he may have won. Like, this man cut through half of the Royal Navy in his prime, but he couldn't handle a bandit with a kitchen knife. What a bitch. In terms of stealth, Edward obtained a wide toolset from the assassins in the West Indies, and had a natural inclination to be able to blend in with his environment, as we see him don the robes of an assassin as a guise to gain a meeting with the governor. In this way, he's shown not only to be a highly skilled physical opponent, but also a highly intelligent one. It could definitely be argued though that becoming a father made Edward a low testosterone beta soy cuck, and that plays against him a lot in this ranking. At number 5, we have the founder of the Brotherhood, Bayek of Siwa. Now, Bayek's an interesting case as he set the standard for what an assassin was, and this was due to his background as a Medjay, the protector of the pharaoh in ancient Egypt. Basically, Bayek was trained by his father to be the ancient Egyptian James Bond, and this extensive experience places him distinctly high on this list. No matter how much training you have, it's difficult to beat someone who was trained to be a warrior from birth. Bayek is shown to have beaten elephants and Egyptian gods in combat. However, he also uses the Apple of Eden as a fucking bludgeon, which, although a very cool moment, shows a lack of both Isu DNA and intelligence on his behalf. He was always prone to let anger and vengeance overpower his better judgment, and for that reason he's only just in the top 5 here. Basim ibn Ishaq places slightly above Bayek for one key reason: his connection with Loki. Not only was Basim trained by perhaps the most powerful sect of the Brotherhood that ever existed to be a lethal silent warrior, but he combined that with his incredible wit and intellect of an Isu, or at least the consciousness of an Isu. We see Basim in Mirage go hand to hand with an assassin master, an annihilator, as well as crumble the Order of the Ancients' influence in Baghdad almost single-handedly through the use of incredible stealth skills and a wide array of tools. The only person shown to be able to best him in hand-to-hand combat is another Isu reincarnate, who also just so happened to be the most ruthless and powerful Viking ever to touch down in England. Despite this, he still stands as one of the most complete assassins we've ever seen. Most of you probably expected me to put Etso number 1 on this list, however, he is not perfect. Etso proved to be a lethal master assassin for almost 40 years, and that longevity counts for something, as he adapted to new technologies and new environments. He's easily one of the smarter assassins we've seen in the franchise, and on top of that, in his prime, he wielded the Apple of Eden, something that can only be done with those with a high percentage of Isu DNA. Wielding the Apple of Eden makes a person near unstoppable, however, Etso could only use the object for a limited amount of time before it would hurt him. And although Etso did get cucked once or twice in his life, he also fathered children late into his 50s, showing a genetic superiority to those around him. That being said, physique-wise he was physically fairly average, and although very skilled, had to rely on his stealth and his wide array of allies. So Etso stands not quite at the top, but still very high on the list. If you look up the definition of an unstoppable force in the dictionary, you get a picture of Connor Kenway. He was a nasty physical beast, standing at 6'2" and approximately 200 pounds. Connor combined this immense physical stature with years of personalised focus training with Achilles, making him a fighting machine. In one-to-one combat, almost no one in the series could go toe-to-toe with Connor, and on top of that, he also had an incredible versatility due to his upbringing in the American frontier, which allowed him to survive in any environment. He had a fantastic selection of stealth tools, including a mastery of the bow and arrow, giving his lethality immense range, and his unorthodox fighting methods gave him an unpredictability that makes him even more dangerous and adaptable. Connor was able to rebuild the American Brotherhood from nothing, and his incredible competence is why. However, Connor is second to one, because Altair ibn La'ahad is without a doubt the most capable assassin in the franchise. Canonically, Altair never once took a single hit of damage in his entire time as an assassin, due to his complete mastery in combat. Like Bayek, he was trained from the time he was a child, training in the mountains amongst again one of the strongest sects of the Brotherhood in history. He was a lifelong warrior that also held an incredible intellect that made his investigations thorough to the point of perfection. On top of that, and perhaps most importantly, Altair was able to gain complete mastery over the Apple of Eden, making him the most powerful assassin we've ever seen, even at the age of 80. There was no target or opponent that came even close to topping Altair in any realm of human endeavour, and for that reason, he still stands atop the hierarchy of assassins. And there we have it, every single assassin in the mainline AC franchise ranked from worst to best. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, please be civil and actually create real conversation, because I'm interested in the thought out disagreements you may have. If you enjoyed, please do hit like, and if you're new here, hit subscribe with post notifications turned on. And with that being said, I've been Joe, aka Found a Scarab, and I'll see you in the next one.